You know, I love my country. I always have done, despite what some people in that country have done. So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think that it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, you know, my children my homeland, you know.
And as you say, you've gone back several times during this years-long battle. What about the security arrangements that were in place made you feel it would be unsafe for you and your family?
There's only so much that I can say because of the redaction process and the national security matters at hand, but everything. Because in beginning of 2020, I was scored the highest as far as risk was concerned. And then overnight, I was reduced to the lowest without actually going through the risk management board. So one does question how that is even possible and also the motive behind that at the time. And that was in 2020. And as hard as it is to appreciate or understand why the decision was made the way that it was in 2020, the hardest thing for me has been the fix of that decision for the last 5 years. The fact that I still haven't had a risk management board assessment done for me over the last 5 years. Everybody else within this group of people get it at the minimum once a year. So again, I would not have taken this far if I didn't have compelling evidence of facts that reveal why the decision was made. And I'm sitting here today talking to you where, you know, we've lost the appeal, but the other side have won in keeping me unsafe.
Yes, that is a powerful statement, powerful, emotional statement from Prince Harry made in this interview when he said, "The other side have won keeping me unsafe." He was summarizing the deeper meaning of a court ruling. This is what we need to reflect on this one. The other side have won keeping me unsafe. This is what I want to focus on. And I'll be breaking this video into small little parts about this video, because it's a very powerful video. If you haven't watched this video, you go and watch it. Okay? Go and watch it yourself. You can just listen to me analyzing it, but go and watch it, please. Yeah, what Harry meant by this statement, he meant that the legal battle wasn't just about security. It was about who gets to control Harry's safety. Harry's safety, his family's safety. The other side, that is equal to the RAVEC, the Home Office, and indirectly the royal family, who initially withdrew his security and allegedly discouraged other governments from offering protection. We know this one also was also confirmed in Canada many years ago when this happened, when Trudeau came out around that security saga at the time. So, yes. But we don't know what other governments were told not to provide security for Harry. So by winning the court case, the other sides kept him in a position where Harry remains exposed to known threats that we know of, remain dependent on a private security without police level of resources that I mentioned in the last video about that, And he cannot safely visit the UK unless the family or states invite him his own country. Somebody who provided services to the world, to the UK, for us to be safer. He is a veteran, Afghanistan twice. So the people in the UK can be safer. So for us here, we can be safer. He cannot have that safety provided to him and his family because of who he chose to marry, for who he chose to love. So the legal system accepted the government's right to make him unsafe. Like I said, there was no statute. And there was also around this cloud of shield of the national security. So the legal system accepted the government's right to make Harry and his family unsafe when he traveled either privately or to visit friends or to advocate for his charity in the UK. So making those charities have no access to Harry, no exposure to their own cause to the world, because Harry is the most popular of all of them. Harry is the one that gets people talking. Harry is the one that gets people moving. But they cannot do that. But those charities who Harry has supported, they are now being restricted, have access to him. A result of this, the other side. They won keeping him unsafe, but they also won to prevent him from accessing those charities that he supports in the UK. So this statement really resonates with the public. It truly does. It does resonate with the public because many people feel the royal family and the UK authorities, they've prioritized punishment and control over basic safety. Because this security, it looks like it's being removed without either not knowingly, not reassess the level of threats he faces. From where it was the highest when it was once assessed before, higher than the late Queen Elizabeth II. And these level of threats that he faces that were created by some from the extremist group in the UK and across the globe, because he's been into Afghanistan. He's a veteran, Afghanistan veteran, and other from the past media, the media-driven harassment. Like I spoke about, the stoking of this outrage, the business of outrage, the business of hate that they've created around Harry and Meghan and his family. That has created, and we know that people in jail in the UK, podcast guy in jail, as a result of this stuff. So the decision that echoes what happened to Princess Diana, where the institutional decisions like reducing her security and failing to manage paparazzi danger. The dangers of paparazzi back then, but now the dangers is no longer on the paparazzi. The danger is in the stalking, in the social media, the outrage business. This is where the danger is right now, is this outrage manufacture, the stalking of the outrage. As we saw with the example of HRH, the stalking of the outrage, that kind of things. That's the one where these paparazzi have moved to in the form of influencer. These issues have actually indirectly contributed to a lot of tragedy, and in Princess Diana have contributed to her death at the time Prince Harry was 12. about to turn 13, was 12 when his mother died. And this is why some members of the public are now asking, was the royal family willing to gamble with Harry's life the way they filled Diana? Was the royal family willing to gamble with Harry's life in the same way they failed Diana, Princess Diana, Harry's mother? Harry has said the quiet part out loud, very loud. They won't keeping me unsafe and my family. Who's winning here? Where's the win for the royal family in this case? Where is the win? Where's the badge of honor for them in this saga? I mean, I know that there are people out there going on and saying that, oh, King Charles is busy trying to make the royal family all together to things to be more, constitutional and all of that. But how is he making that with this case? I mean, if he was really concerned about the royal family's image, he wouldn't have let this thing go even to the review. All right? Because it's very clear that he had an influence in a government institution that's meant to be free from any interference. But they had an influence in there at the time. Why were influencing this RAVEC? Why didn't they recuse themselves from the RAVEC? Why do they still have Harry as a member of the royal family if they say Harry is a private citizen? In this security, Harry is a private citizen. But when they have to look into the matter of security for Harry, they then have to go to the royal family. If he's a private citizen, why then go to the royal family for consultation about anything to do with Prince Harry? If they think Harry is a private citizen, which we know Harry is not a private citizen, he's born into this family, but why then say, yes, he's a private citizen, but when this RAVEC has to review his security, the royal family is consulted. You see this double sword, this flipping around. 1 minute the royal family is the family, is the private matter family. 1 minute is a constitution. This flipping around when it suits them. So because doesn't make sense to me. If they think then he's now a private citizen fair, then why interfere? Why, when things that has to do with his security, the family gets involved? Which we know even that statement that Harry is a private citizen it's not true. It's not true. He could never be a private citizen. He's born in that family. So it is a very, I don't know. I don't think the whole royal family, they realize how bad this thing looks. I think maybe it's because they sit around with these medias that actually pop them out for doing nothing, for just showing up. And they are surrounded by these courtiers that say, oh, my king and Ketsi all the time. They're not really getting good advice on this case. King Charles actually had a very great advice. This thing, in my personal opinion, shouldn't have gone even to the review court. Because why? Because in that review court, we now know a lot more that we didn't know about before, about the royal family. You see why that shouldn't have even gone there, because what he needed to have done back then was to reinstall that security that they took off in 2020. Because if he can influence the removal of the security in 2020, you bet they can influence the installation of that security back. That's just my view on it. And before it even went to this court, because when things goes to court, you hear there's a lot of things gets revealed. Even we saw even with Megan's as court case around that letter that was published, unauthorized publication of her letter, of the letter Megan wrote to her father by the media in the UK. How much that we got information from that case about the influence of the royal family to this publication through the so-called courtier and advisor. How this letter was able to even to be published by the media. How this thing could have even been prevented then from even being published by the media back then, if they actually understood how this would go. They didn't realize this would go even further to the court of in the UK around privacy, and also about just the copyright of that letter, privacy and copyright of the letter. But why, if you have gone through this thing before, you've gone, ex-wife died in a mysterious way, even to this day, there's no one who is in jail as a result of that death of Princess Diana. And you got all these cases in court about that involving the media and the stoking of this outrage against Harry, and the publication general of things that are unauthorized publication, invasion of their private life and stuff like that. If you got these things going on around them, and then you are there watching it and you think you are protecting the institution, you're not protecting the institution. The very fact that you are there watching it unfold without you got even the power to stop it. It's not like they don't have a power to stop it. They have the power to stop it. They have the power to reinstall the security because they remove it. They remove it, and they also informed the media where Harry and Meghan were in 2020. And allegedly, they also signal other governments. We know in Canada they did inform the government of Canada. It was publicly discussed by Trudeau then at that time about the security of Prince Harry. So we know that for the fact that because that was discussed, that security at that time. So really, why do you want this stuff to go on and on and on, going on and on? Why can't you just stop it and give him his security that he worked for, that he deserved to have, because he has earned it? You all walking out there safer in the UK because of Harry, because of what he did, and many other veterans. So this is shameful. This is actually shameful. No, I don't really on this one. This one, history will judge the royal family. This is bad. It looks really horrible here. No matter how you slice this one, how you can spin this thing up, it looks really bad. It's bad. So if Prince Charles really cares so much about the institution of the royal monarchy, what he needs to do is to reinstall his security, safety, and shut this thing up. Okay? Nip it in the butt. Nip it in the butt and let Harry live. Let Harry be Harry. That's all I ask. That's all the world ask. Because this is getting ridiculous at this point. Really seriously ridiculous and very dangerous and unsafe for them and their family. That's all I'm going to say about this section, because I'll be breaking up this interview because it's so long, so much stuff that's coming up from this interview. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And until next time, see you guys. Bye for now.